from Pooch Top Joe Bottom.
Oh, this is Tim Wright from the Fighting Jordan Howard.
This is Evan from the Okuda Obligadas.
I'm Kelsey. I'm the owner of the Injured Reserves, unfortunately.
Yo, it's your boy Derek, a.k.a. D-Money from the Fresh Prince of E-Layer.
This is Thomas Vieira from Stat Padford.
What's up, guys? This is Joe from the Teddy Brewskis.
Hey, this is Kevin from the Ann Lisa Fantasy Team.
Hey, this is Taylor from Hooked on a Thielen.
Hey, this is Marshall Whirling from AJ's Brownies.
This is Alex, a.k.a. Joe's one and only voiceover man.
And you're listening to the podcast.
And you're watching Disney Channel.
Welcome to the Bands Make Her Dance Fantasy Football League Podcast with your hosts, Taylor LaPrairie and Joe LaFever.
What's up, guys? Happy New Year's Eve. December 31st. You like that intro?
I'm getting emotional. We're all just one big happy family. I mean, we're happy most of the time.
One big happy family. Yes, last edition of the official league podcast for the year.
Season 1.
Season 1. That is, yes. The last episode of 2020.
We have yet to be renewed for season 2, but yes, end of season 1 is right now.
Depending on our reviews on Apple, Google, and YouTube, season 2 is pending. Yes, happy New Year's Eve to all you guys. Wishing you a happy New Year's, a safe and happy New Year's. Oh, we found out who the voiceover man is.
Yes, I want to meet him someday. Someday when there's not like a global pandemic and all that. But yeah,
yes, the voiceover man, Alex Gray, my best buddy from first grade. We have, first grade. Wow, that's a while. But yes, he's been doing all the voiceovers for me. It's been great. I just shoot him a text, and he sends me a voice memo back. Great voice actor. And
he's been like uploading like all sorts of statistics into the Google Docs that we use to record these.
Yes, he was the stat man. He was the voice of God. He's basically the every behind the scenes voice or anything you heard. So now you know. Hope you
now is he better at fantasy than you, Joe?
Well, he's been playing longer than me. I know he had a back-to-back championship. He might be. No, he is. He's okay. The one that's. I'm going to cop to that. He's
definitive. Yes. All right.
He's probably listening to this, and he's going to give me crap if I say he's not. He definitely is, though. He's the one that has gotten me through my successes as well.
Oh wow! Little mentor-mentee relationship. This is so emotional for us right now.
It's going to be an emotional pod. Okay, I got to ask because it's tradition now.
Can you get me another beer, please?
What's in your cup over there?
I am actually not drinking a beer. We're recording this like at 9:15 local time.
Very early in the morning.
So I am drinking a black coffee. It is a bean. I use this service trade coffee. If anybody else uses it, hit me up with some suggestions. But this is methodical coffee. It's from South Carolina. It's got it's like a light. It's a pretty light roast. It's got notes of pineapple, tangerine. Why are you laughing at me?
This guy, you're so sophisticated, man.
I love coffee. Like I wake up. Like I added an extra like 30 minutes to my wake up routine just because I like getting downstairs, like grind the beans, got to heat up the water, got to get my Chemex paper filter all.
That was my next question. Is it a Chemex or is it a drip coffee?
Drip coffee, please get out of here. No, I use a. It's not a Chemex, it's a Bodum, but it's just like a way cheaper version of the Chemex.
Okay.
Nice. So I could seriously nerd out about coffee for a long time. But yeah, I'm drinking this light roast coffee. Joe, what about you?
Well, I limit myself to 1 cup of coffee a day. So I've got a little bit of green tea over here.
Green tea, gross.
Yeah, a little bit of green. Come on, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just sipping the tea this morning, Taylor.
Yeah, let me see that mug though. That looks cute.
Isn't that nice? The good old. Yes, I'm back in Kalamazoo visiting my rents. So.
Oh, speaking of Michigan, I'm rocking the mitten.
Look at that.
Mug
we got a little mitten pride. Smitten with the mitten this morning. Oh man, we've got some stuff to get into, but we got to do this first. So let's get into it.
Congratulations to the 2020 Super Bowl IV champion, Pablo Top, Derek Bottom.
Woo! Jamming this morning.
I
Jamming
just
this
bet
morning.
that John's like in his car listening to this podcast, just freaking out, like, let's go!
I hope he is. Yes, in the Super Bowl IV League Championship game, the 1 seed Pablo Top, Derek Bottom defeats the 2 seed Fresh Prince of Bel-Air 143.2 to 108.65. Had a lot of help from, oh my gosh, dude, Myles Gaskin. 33.9 fantasy points. Had a day against the Raiders. He's looking pretty good. I'm interested to see what happens to him and like James Robinson this offseason, because they were kind of late to the parties, so to speak, in terms of their backfields, but they're good players.
Well, yeah, and the thing is it reminds me a lot of like Kenyon Drake of last year, where you have this running back who's like not really highly touted, as far as like being like a talented running back in the league by NFL standards, but they finish off a year like incredibly strong. Like Kenyon Drake, I remember caught like 4 touchdown passes for my team last year in like the last game of the year. But you kind of go into the offseason thinking like, well, is he going to continue that? And it's just a big question mark. But one thing is for sure, that is a great pickup that he had. Whenever it was very clear that Jordan Howard was not going to be the guy. Gaskin was great all year. Yeah.
Oh man, no Jordan Howard. also help from Travis Kelce as always. He's just so good.
It's not
Travis
fair.
Kelce, 22 plus fantasy points. Leonard Fournette was a great play in that Lions route on Saturday. Absolutely ugly for the Lions there. Yeah, Derek. Darren Waller gets his usual 16 plus, but Derrick Henry only, less than 10 points in championship week. It was a tough weekend. He had Jamison Crowder on his bench, just under 30 fantasy points. But I was looking at Derek's roster, and there is only one thing I would have done differently, and it would have been to play Ryan Tannehill over Kyler Murray. And if you look at that, I think Tannehill was basically the same, maybe like 0.3 less points than Murray. So it's one of those things where Derek basically, I don't think, he played the right lineup and this is just fantasy. That's how it goes,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely agree. I felt really, really bad. I did see that Pooj had in his flex, he had Mike Williams, and I was like, like what? I don't know the reasoning there. And then he like switched it out before the game, and then both of his flex players get over 15 points. So good for you, Pooj. I'll accept any trash talk, anything that I deserve for any not nice words I've said about you and your team throughout the year. You deserve all the glory in the world, champion.
This is the only time you'll hear me say it. Congratulations, Pooj. He's a 2-time champ, 2017 and 2020. The 1 seed, the division winner, and the Triple Crown winner all in the same season.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah, felt like Clemson.
Yes. I think Thomas will like that drop. But that's the last time you're going to hear me say it. I'll tell you what I really feel.
You're turning the page really fast.
Later on. Yeah. No. In all seriousness, congrats, Pooj. It takes skill to get into the playoffs. It takes skill and luck to win a championship, and you got it done. Oh boy, the Sacco.
Oh no. Drama.
the injured drama. Reserves have won, have lost. I'm not really sure what you call it. They
have been crowned. They have been crowned. The Sacco.
Kelce has been crowned. I still don't know if that's the right language either. He's been crowned the 2020.
It's a crown of thorns.
Crown of thorns. Oops. Yes. Yes, hooked on a Thielen yourself, Taylor, defeating the injured reserves 159 to 123.9. The top of Kelce's lineup looked great with Deshaun Watson with 30, Gio with 20. His flex, Curtis Samuel with 20 plus as well. But you went back to Matt Ryan, worked out. But let's talk about Alvin Kamara.
Amazing.
6 touchdowns.
I was like watching like It's a Wonderful Life with my family at the time, and my dad has this thing where he'll record all of the games. He hates commercials, so basically like anytime there's like a big night game on Sunday or whatever, like I never knew the score growing up until the next day, unless somebody ruined it for me. And so I was like having such a hard time like not like freaking out during this movie because I was like seeing all of the clips. I was like, I can't wait. I need to know what's going on. And it was just touchdown after touchdown after touchdown. I remember looking after like the second quarter, after like at halftime, and I was just like, okay, I'm sitting pretty. And I had no idea that it was going to have like 3 more touchdowns in the second half.
Oh
Insanity.
Gosh. Well, and the thing is too,
so blessed to get him with my first pick.
It's crazy. Now, Taysom Hill vultured a 7th touchdown from Alvin Kamara, which, you know, Alvin Kamara was like, yeah, we spread the love. I don't care. But like, you know, I mean, if I heard a stat that this record, the 6 touchdown mark, is the record in the NFL for most touchdowns in a game. Happened in 1919. Like literally, like what, 100 plus years ago, and here we go. You know, Alvin Kamara has a chance to break that record, and Sean Payton trots Taysom Hill out there. It was just kind of a bummer. And also, too, Kamara dropped a reception touchdown earlier in the game. Well, not dropped. It was it would have had to been a pretty acrobatic catch. But he could have had 8 touchdowns. 8 touchdowns.
I was like just hoping that he would get over 60. That would have been just unbelievable.
It's insane. I think Pooj sent a text that Alvin Kamara scored 36 points and the Vikings scored 33.
Yeah.
So
Skull, baby, let's go.
Yeah.
Mike Zimmer after the game was like, I've never coached a bad defense. And then he's like, oh yeah, this is a bad defense.
Oh man, it's tough. So yes, this is Kelsey's first time winning the Sacco, or crowning the Sacco.
Is this his first time?
This is his first time. He has not been the Sacco before. We've had Harry our very first year. We've had Derek last year, and we had Marshall one year as well. This is the 4th season, so Kelsey gets the Sacco. This is his first time. In case you didn't know, 3rd place game. The Thomas yet again does not get 3rd place. Unfortunately,
straight up dud from his team.
Defense Whisperer defeats Stat Padford 121.65.
Defense Whisperer got -1 from his defense. Are you kidding me though?
Yeah, that's karma. Maybe, I don't know.
Irony, I think is what it is.
J.D. McKissick, wow, 23 points. After Antonio Gibson left with that injury, he's been pretty outstanding. Rob Gronkowski, Taylor, you remember at the beginning of the season?
I remember.
We were both down on him, and we both whiffed.
Don't pick me as the only one here.
I take full blame for that too. Gronk having a good season.
I still would contend though, like he did have great games, everything like that, but he did finish as the tight end 9. Was he worth the high draft pick?
Here's the thing. Now he finished as the tight end 9, but if you remember, he wasn't really the first option until OJ Howard went down. So if he had a full season, sure, he's not going to be a top 3 tight end, but you could slide him in the top 5. It's not hard to finish high in tight end rankings for fantasy. But now, I'm not sure. He's the defense whisperer, but could he be the quarterback whisperer? He has 3 quarterbacks on his roster. Lamar Jackson, which he played, scored him 23 points. So that's pretty solid. But he also had Tom Brady with 33 plus and Ben Roethlisberger with 28 plus on his bench as well. So he's just, he couldn't go wrong at the quarterback position this week.
Yeah, no, he knows. I would say he's not the quarterback whisperer because he did play the guy that got the least amount of points. But I know we're going to get to the Bando Awards, but I just want to give special shout out to Marshall, who was like looking like his team was just like a dumpster fire about halfway through the year. And then he storms back. He gets his money back for being in 3rd place, beats Thomas's team. And Thomas back then was like looking like, oh, he's going to run away with this whole league. So just congratulations to Marshall. Thomas, I expected more. You played T.Y. Hilton. What are you thinking there? Getting less than 10 points. Robert Tonyan didn't get his normal 7 touchdowns that he gets every game.
He did drop an end zone target.
Yeah, and
So that
I'm
was
sure he
kind of
just was like, I'll just stick to Devontae Adams.
Yeah,
That's probably what
well,
Aaron Rodgers was
geez.
thinking.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. David Montgomery has been solid over the last 5 to 6 weeks. I think
Unbelievably
I believe
good.
in those last 5 or 6 weeks, he's finished 7-2, 7-1, and 9th. I mean, it's unbelievable. I hope Chicago has figured out how to use him because he's a very talented back. Juju with 24 plus. He stopped dancing on the logos. He started scoring touchdowns.
There we go.
So good for Juju. The rest of the games that no one cares about. The Mediocrity Bowl. Oh boy.
Can we just? I was gonna say we need to sit in the fact that you got sat on both.
Yes.
both
Unfortunately,
weeks.
the Swift Kick in the Cup defeated the Teddy Brewskis 136.7 to 135.25.
And he played Corey Davis in his flex, who got no points for him. So basically,
because it was Devon Tutter Adams, 43.2 points. I mean, how do you compete with that? I tried my best. I couldn't have played a better lineup than I had, which is disappointing. This is I'm pretty bummed. This is the first time I have not gotten double-digit wins in a fantasy season. One away. So,
and this is your first time getting knocked out of the top 3, correct?
Yes, that as well. So, you know what? Time for a rebound in 2021, though. 2020 sucked. 2021.
Maybe you're just a little bit distracted.
No,
just distracted by some other thing with fantasy football. You're putting more time into.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so, Taylor. This is the most important league to me. I don't play with other leagues as much as yourself. So I am all
That's
in.
True. That's
I
true.
am all in, baby. All right, the last game of the week, the 10 seed, the Cowboys that suck, win again, 178.6 over Ann Lisa, 169.95.
Jeez.
Tim finishes the season with 3 straight wins.
Go off, Tim.
And I love to see it. We're going to get into it in the Bando Awards, I'm sure. But I mean, it's Tim. Josh Allen was a steal and has been amazing this year. David Johnson, 28 plus points. Don't sleep on DJ. And Jeff Wilson, 27 plus. Kevin had Aaron Rodgers, which is, we'll talk about him later too, just a stud this year, 27 plus. And then Mike Evans actually has 40 points. 40 points in a game. This is the first time he's gotten double-digit receptions this year, though. It was just a fluky game against the non-existent Lions, who didn't have a coaching staff this week either. So
very strange.
Very, very strange. So your final standings: Pablo top, Derek bottom, coming in first at 12-3. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air coming in second place at 10-5. The Defense Whisperer in third place at 9-7. Stat Padford in fourth at 9-7. A Swift Kick in the Cup in fifth at 10-6. The Teddy Brewskis in sixth at 9-7. Cowboys that suck at 5-11 in seventh place. The 8th place team and Lisa at 4-12. Ninth place team, hooked on a Thielen at 7-9, and the injured reserves at 3-13. Now, we talked about this last week a lot, and even a little bit before this show happened. Clearly, the final standings and the Sacco were figured out how we originally thought. So it turns out that game between you and Kelsey was the Sacco game. My opinion, that needs to, the way we figure out the Sacco needs to change. Sounds like, with my talks with Derek, he also thinks so too. We all know that you think that as well, and I think it's just safe to say that something's got to change. So, we'll see what next year brings. Some interesting rule changes, perhaps. Let's break down the season, though.
Season recap.
The famed, coveted East versus West Bowl. I don't know if you know this, Taylor, because I think it was only a few of us that were talking about it. I will be personally proposing, because this has been a big topic this year, right? The East-West Bowl.
Absolutely.
I am proposing that we up our buy-in. It's $40 right now. So next year we up it to $50. And whichever division has the more head-to-head wins over the course of the season gets $10. So that's where that extra $10 on the buy-in would be. I think it'd be a little fun to settle the East-West debate every year. It seems pretty popular this year.
I am all for like as many little things to pay attention to as possible.
I agree. Yes, we got to make it interesting, right?
Yeah, I love it. Although I am a little scared of our buy-in turning into like $300.
Well, yes, we gotta make sure we keep it.
This is going to turn into some big like Bernie Madoff like Ponzi scheme.
Oh gosh, yeah. This is. Let's not get too crazy, boys. Okay, so in the regular season, the West head-to-head against East opponents. So this is literally just when West opponents play East opponents. The West was 15-10 versus East opponents.
West Coast vibe.
West Coast,
go.
West Coast. Now, in the playoffs, when you put the full season together, this is the full season, the West still won 19-18. This is every single game, including the playoffs.
They showed up for the playoffs.
They did. They did.
They heard the critique of the East Division.
It was Tim. Tim single-handedly, carrying the team late in the season there for the East Division. But yes, the West won. The West also had more points for with 10,265.7 to the East's 10,172.85. Now that is total points for, including matchups in the division as well. I'm too lazy to go back and just do the West versus East points for. But if this is a thing, maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll do it next year. But yes, West Coast, Best Coast, baby.
That's what we're talking about.
That's right, Derek.
Congratulations.
Right, Derek. Oh, man.
Man, if it wasn't for Pooch.
Golly. Well, that last, the West only won by one, and one of those victories was his championship victory.
That's the one. That's the one we needed.
So that was, yeah. I want to talk a little bit about, because this is always fun to reflect back on the season, some shocking final fantasy finishes for certain players. This is always kind of fun to look back and, imagine what could have been and look at what actually happened. And let's get right into it with some quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson, you remember, if you recall, the number one pick in this year's fantasy draft. Ooh. You know where he finished?
Coming in at the quarterback 10, I believe.
Quarterback 10. Yes, I'm going to read some names. Obviously, we know like Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes, Deshaun Watson. Like these guys are all ahead of him. But how about this? 7, 8, and 9. Ryan Tannehill, Tom Brady, and Justin Herbert. Now, if I were at the beginning of the season were to tell you that those three guys were going to finish ahead of Lamar Jackson, you'd call me crazy, wouldn't you?
I would have called you crazy about Justin Herbert, and I would have not been surprised if Tom Brady beat him. And I would have called you crazy if you said Ryan Tannehill, just because of the rushing yards with Lamar. Right. But I will say, to Marshall's credit, Lamar showed up at the end of the year when he needed him.
Yes, and that's I think that's what matters, right?
He knew all along.
Yes. Now I should put a little note in here too. Lamar Jackson did miss one game, I believe. Ryan Tannehill did not. Tom Brady did not. But Justin Herbert did. If you remember, he came in week 2, so he did not start week 1. So in 14 games, when you take the bye week out as well for Lamar Jackson and Justin Herbert, Herbert ended up finishing ahead of Lamar Jackson. Kind of just a weird thing there. How about running backs, though?
Oh, no, you can't skip over this.
Oh, that's right. I
you can't skip over this. Come on, man.
So okay, you go.
You
sit. All right.
You shut up. So Joe and I, every year in the off season, we'll call each other probably like, I don't know, like what do you think, once or twice a week?
Oh yeah, easy.
And like we'll just do a mock draft together and like just catch up and talk about life and also fantasy football. And so we were finding we are both subscribers to the late round quarterback. Right? Unless, of course, you're going to get Pat Mahomes in the third or, there's an absolute steal. But we are going to lean towards getting a late round quarterback. And at the time, ADP for Matt Stafford and Aaron Rodgers was about the same.
Yep.
And, you could pick them up at about the 11th round or so. And I was always picking Aaron Rodgers and Joe was always picking Matt Stafford. And so we got into like a big, like a pretty big argument one day, where we were just like arguing, and it was just like you were saying that Matt Stafford was like what, a top 6 quarterback in fantasy.
I said top 5 at one point.
Yeah, top 5. Yeah, like you were a believer based off of like the end of last year, and I was like, yeah, Matt Stafford's good. Like, I'm not saying he's bad, but it's Aaron Rodgers. Like, Aaron Rodgers' floor is like quarterback 13, but his ceiling is, quarterback 2, quarterback 3. And you thought I was absolutely nuts. So if I could have gotten Aaron Rodgers earlier, I would have. Unfortunately, I had to go with Matt Ryan, who is terrible. But I look at this: Aaron Rodgers finishing as the quarterback 3, Matt Stafford the quarterback 16.
Yes.
And don't give me this injury. I know that he was injured, but look at his games. Look at his games. He is below. He's in the field of other quarterbacks that did play. That everybody's injured. So Matt Stafford is just. You can just admit defeat here, Joe. Aaron Rodgers is definitively better.
Yes, he is definitively better. You are completely right. I completely whiffed on that. Now 16 for Matt Stafford. He did have injuries, missed games, didn't have Kenny G all season. I'm not saying that he would have been I realize he's not a top 5 quarterback, even if he had those pieces. Top 12, sure, but top 5, yeah, big whiff on my part.
Yeah, he's around 11, 10. I think is what I didn't say that Matt Stafford was like many quarterbacks behind Aaron Rodgers, but
right. Well, and here's the thing too that's going to be interesting going into next season, because we know Stafford can ball. We've seen it from him. It's just not on a consistent basis, right? So it'll be interesting when he gets Kenny G back. He's got DeAndre Swift now. Hawkinson's broken out. Hopefully a new coaching staff will kind of resurrect some things. There is an outside chance that he's on a different team. Put him on the Colts, and boy, that's scary. It's just because we know he's talented, but you're right. I totally whiffed on this. Definitely, the top 5.
Oh man, I love it when you say that. I love it.
The top 5 Stafford call did not work out in my favor. This call did, though. In running back land.
Oh my god!
Okay,
I'm still like seething about this.
Alvin Kamara obviously finished number 1. Dalvin Cook finished number 2. Derrick Henry finished number 3. The 4th running back in fantasy football in our league this year was James Robinson from the Jacksonville Jaguars. Crazy. He went undrafted in our draft. I picked him up for $1 before week 1 happened. And
I was like really busy with school because I drafted I forget his name now because he's so irrelevant, but I drafted who everybody thought was going to be the Jags person.
And I
drafted
him
in like the 13th round, and yet you were pissed. And then there was like a small little
Chris Thompson, that's who it was.
Chris Thompson, that's the one. And there was like a little small asterisk that like came out in a news bulletin that was like James Robinson's going to be the starter, and you went and picked him up. I totally missed it. It was totally on me. And then I remember like looking week 1, I was like, okay, Chris Thompson, here comes the breakout, baby. And then he gets no points. And then I look at your team, and James Robinson's got like 25 or something crazy, and he just sustained it. That was the thing that was crazy, how he sustained it throughout the whole entire season.
And that's why I'm interested to see what happens next season. I am a firm believer, and I think most people are now, the Jags are officially locked into the number 1 pick. Trevor Lawrence is going to go there. So new quarterback. It'll be interesting to see what happens with James Robinson. He's broken out. He's on a rookie deal still. He's an undrafted free agent, rookie in the NFL. He's basically a Phillip Lindsay, but did better than what Phillip Lindsay did when he broke out. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with him next year. I mean, could this be kind of like, if you remember, Alvin Kamara broke out halfway through like the 2017 season, and now he's the guy. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with James Robinson. I think he could be good. If they use him like they did this year, he's a top 10 back, right?
Well, the thing about it is like if he can be this good on literally the worst team in the league, that's crazy. Then he can overcome pretty much anything.
Yeah. So, it'll be interesting to see with that. A couple other notes in running back land, too, because I wanted to bring this up because we talked about it a little bit earlier. David Montgomery ended up finishing 6th in the rankings. So, big end to the season, helped him get there. And Jonathan Taylor squeezes in there at 7. High prospect in the beginning of the season, rough middle of the season, but the last 4 or 5 weeks have been solid for Jonathan Taylor. I'm really interested about these 3 backs, James Robinson, David Montgomery, and Jonathan Taylor, just to see what happens, next year and during this offseason. with
Yeah,
those,
you know, two names
players.
who I was like, I'm really kind of surprised that are not in that is Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I'm actually
Right.
very
Yep.
surprised,
I'm
especially
very
given the
shocked.
fact that he played almost every single game this year.
Yep.
And looking at the team, that's something to take notice of. And then also Josh Jacobs. I think Josh Jacobs was somebody that like we all kind of thought was going to
All
be
high on him. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
And
Clyde finished. You might have to check. I think he was still a top 10 back, but Jacobs was not. I think he was like 12 or 13 on the year. Yeah, which I was, I had high prospects for Josh Jacobs, and I just, he just doesn't. I don't know. He doesn't look great.
So Clyde finished as the running back. Do you have a guess?
I checked this yesterday. Was he 8?
19.
Oh, 19. Okay. All right. I was way off.
And then Josh Jacob did finish. He finished as the running back number 9. But I thought he was going to for sure be like a top 4.
Oh yeah. Well, you remember on draft day, I drafted Clyde and Josh Jacobs with my first 2 picks. I was like, I think I got 2 top 5 backs. Mm-hmm. But it's the crazy thing with football. You just projections don't always work out. So all right, wide receivers. This is super interesting. Stephon Diggs, the number 4 receiver on the year behind Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, and D-Hop. Crazy, dude. I mean, he has we saw his talent in Minnesota. He was never the one, though. You put him in, a Bills offense that's looking amazing right now, and he's got the most receptions and reception yards in the league right now, I believe. Crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the whole Vikings thing is such a conundrum to me because we're about to talk about 2 other Vikings players, but you just have like this like lack of like identity, and I hate to say it, I don't think like Mike Zimmer's a bad coach or anything like that, but I think that like the way he wants to run this team is just not the way that this team is set up. And Kirk Cousins, there was a video clip that was like released, I think of like the week before's game of Justin Jefferson, like audibly, like you can hear him yelling at
Throw
Kirk,
the ball,
like
Kirk!
throw the ball, Kirk, and it just is like that's how he plays though. He plays it safe, and you can see why Stephon Diggs was so frustrated and why he was. He wanted out. And then you have a gunslinger, someone like Josh Allen, who I will say, I think he takes too many risks and is ultimately going to be the team's downfall is how risky he is with the ball. But you see that like if you have the talent at receiver, you need to use it. And that's the thing with the Vikings that I'm sorry to turn this into like a Vikings counseling therapy session.
A skull session.
Yeah. Oh, great. That was awesome. But yeah, like Diggs is amazing. He's an amazing receiver.
Yeah, and I want to talk about this a little bit because people are starting to talk. I know the Bills are playing good football. They look great. Everyone's like, oh, I don't know, man. Bills might be the Chiefs in the playoffs here. And let me tell you this. I think the Bills are the second best team in the AFC, and they will make the AFC Championship game. Now, if the game was in Buffalo, I'd feel a little bit, that AFC Championship game. This is assuming both teams make their, obviously things could happen. But let's say, for the sake of this argument, KC and Buffalo is in the AFC Championship. I just think, you said it. Josh Allen may be a little bit risky. We saw it last year in the playoffs against Houston. He just doesn't quite have that playoff experience. And I still think the Chiefs would top the Bills. But I don't think it's by very much, and I think the Bills have an incredibly bright future, and they have it all right now. The Stephon Diggs pickup in the offseason just made it. All right, let's talk about your 2 Vikes here.
It's cool.
Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen are the 2 wide receivers in Minnesota. If at the beginning of the year I was going to tell you a rookie wide receiver for your team, the Vikings, would finish higher than Adam Thielen, what would you have said to me?
I would have said, okay, Adam Thielen's going to get injured a couple games in order for that to happen, which I think it did. But then I would have said that clearly the offensive production for the team is just insane. And
yes,
it honestly, like we score a lot of points, but the fact is we can't stop a nosebleed. So I'm so happy that we have both of these people. Now the problem is that our offensive scheme is we want to run the ball, and also Kirk Cousins is not. It's just not going to work out very well. So
yeah, it's interesting. So yeah, Justin Jefferson finished 8 on the year. Adam Thielen at 10. I mean, that's insane. And you're right. Adam Thielen did miss a couple games, but Justin Jefferson, if you remember, was late to the party. He didn't start in the first few games of the season.
Yep.
He is now 111 yards away from breaking the rookie record held by Anquan Bolden for the most rookie reception yards in an NFL season.
Is he the rookie player of the year?
I think so. I mean, Herbert might be in contention there just because he's a quarterback. I mean, I'm trying to think of other other players who would be in that realm of rookie.
I think it's Justin Herbert.
I think it's him.
Justin Herbert, Justin Jefferson, I think are the top two. Then you're talking like maybe Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, I mean, that rough stretch in the middle of the year really takes him down for me. So, yeah, I think it's Justin Jefferson. We got to talk about this, too, because this happened early in the season. Evan and I made a little bet here about Darius Slayton. Darius Slayton, according to Evan, was the new number 1 receiver in New York and a top 18 wide receiver. He finished at wide receiver 48 on the year.
Oh! Oops!
Yeah, sorry, Evan. Big ol' oops for you there. Unfortunately, though, we didn't actually, bet anything. So that sucks. I'm not really getting anything out of it, except pride. All right. The tight end position, we talked about it a little bit earlier. I think the most shocking thing is that Gronk finished at number 9, so he was a top 10 tight end. Now, it's not hard to be a top 10 tight end. It's, in fact, quite easy to do that. But, he wasn't the starter for a couple games in the season in the beginning of the year, and he had a solid end of the season. So, solid pickup for Marshall. We both whiffed on that. We were completely out on Gronk, and
I thought he was going to be tight end 27 or something like that. So in that sense, yes.
Right. Yes.
He caught touchdowns.
Right. Yeah. And we just have to mention this too. Travis Kelce with 312.8 total fantasy points. The number 2 tight end, Darren Waller, had 251.9. Such a big gap. Huge. I mean, that's 60 plus points there. Crazy. In defense land, this is just so variable, but I thought I'd mention it because it's kind of fun to just see what defenses have been good this year. The Washington football team finished 4 on the year, and Miami was at 6. So a couple teams we didn't see.
So they will be picked in the 12th round probably next year.
Yeah. Well, maybe the 9th. We'll make another prop bet. We'll see. Okay, participation trophy time.
Presenting the 2020 Bando Awards.
Woo! Yeah. 2020 Bando Awards. This was fun. A couple fun awards. I forgot to put one in there. I should have put one in for best drop.
Best drop.
What was I think the my vote would have been the Kawhi Leonard laugh drop, or what was the other? The Stephen A one was good too. That seemed to be
Blasphemy.
Pretty popular. Yeah, that was pretty popular. All right, the Comeback Kid Award. Yes, this is the player who turned their season around mid-season, and it's a pretty what's going on here? I'm sorry, I'm having technical difficulties. It was pretty soundly unanimous. Thank you. In Marshall's favor, he had 6 people voted, by the way, and Marshall won 5-1. Kelce was the one vote that kept him from sweeping the award. And you said it. I mean, Marshall completely turned his season around and just, tore it up second half of the year.
Exactly. Good for him.
Yes, good for him. The Michael Scott Award for Best Manager. This is a little interesting. Pooj won with 3 votes.
Oh.
Myself came in second with 2 votes, and Derek was 1 vote. So 3-2-1 there. I don't agree with that.
Congratulations. Congratulations, Pooj, on being Michael Scott.
Way to go, Pooj. Asterisk times 2. The Draft King Award, the best drafter. We all know that this, it's obviously Evan. Evan got 3 of the votes, but 3 other people got votes as well. Pooj got 1 vote. You got 1 vote, Taylor. And Derek also got 1 vote. But I think it's clearly, if you remember, Christian McCaffrey, of course, he didn't play the whole year, but Christian McCaffrey, Devontae Adams, Miles Sanders were his first 3 picks. And then he also drafted Aaron Rodgers, if you remember, and Dak. So,
Very Rip Dak.
Yeah, heck of a R.I.P. Dak. The Embargo Award. Who was hardest to trade with? I'm curious to see who you think won this. You got a guess?
The thing is, Evan is notorious. Like, Evan is notorious for this. So my gut tells me that it was Evan.
Well,
but I also think it could be you because you are so you about everything.
I put this in there because I knew I was going to win this award, but I didn't. I tied with Evan. Evan and I are we got the Embargo Award together, 3 for 3 there. So we didn't have a 7th vote to settle the tie.
Very deserving.
So yes, the Candy from a Baby Award. Who had the most lopsided trade of the year? And everybody, let's see. These were right in response. So we've got several. This one says Joe won the Tim trade week 2 or 3. That was the Jonathan Taylor, Terry McLaurin trade, which actually now looks kind of slightly on the Jonathan Taylor side, but not a ton. So I could see that. I also have, let's see, Taylor getting Robbie Anderson and giving Thomas Joe Mixon, who didn't play another game all year. I don't agree with that because that was just completely injury based. The Clyde Edwards-Helaire for George Kittle if Kittle didn't get injured. So that's, again, another, caveat response. But the overwhelming majority has, including the person I have, quote, I plead the 5th. I'm anticipating that I'll be hated on this, but we'll see. Yes, it was the Aaron Jones for Mike Evans trade. The worst trade of the year. I mean... And if you remember, this trade started...
Kevin was just bailing water at that point.
Yeah,
so.
If you remember, this started as Aaron Jones for Henry Ruggs. That's where this started. I can already hear people defending, Mike Evans scored 40 points. Look, this was his first double-digit reception game of the year. Mike Evans, he was hit or miss. Aaron Jones is a solid play every week. The Paramedic Award, whose season was decimated by injuries. This is interesting. We had a lot of votes here. So Thomas had 2 votes, Tim had 2 votes, Kelsey had 1 vote, and Evan had 1 vote. I don't know who you voted for. I clearly voted for Tim because my reasoning here was that Thomas was also in consideration, but he still made the playoffs, right? Tim completely, he was lined up to be the Sacco. He lost Kenny G, he lost Austin Eckler, he lost all these solid players, and that was my reasoning why I thought Tim should win. But it's him and Thomas.
Yeah, to me, Thomas's team's downfall was not the injuries. His downfall was the fact that the Seahawks offense came back down to earth.
Yeah,
because Russell Wilson was not getting 35 points a game, and Chris Carson wasn't getting 6 touchdowns a game, and all that.
Right, and props to Thomas because he dropped Russell Wilson and started a different quarterback this week, which was incredibly smart. I just want to point that out. Good move, Thomas, to not, lean on a player that, had a great, just lean on the player because of what he's done for you. It was a smart move by Thomas there. All right, Plastic Surgery Award. This is the award that goes to the player who completely changed their season from last year. And we've got Kelsey had 1 vote, Pujon had 2 votes, but Derek wins it with 3 votes from Sacco to second place. Almost got the ship. Almost got that first place. But I think it's Derek definitely sealing the deal from worst to second.
Absolutely. Congratulations, Derek, but also I got to keep saying it. Congratulations, Pooj.
You only have to say it once.
No, he deserves it. He deserves it. I'm gonna give him all the praise in the world, but man, I cannot wait to beat him next year.
After this pod is when it stops. Okay, all right, okay, all right. That's a good deal. All right, the Oops Award. Who made the most boneheaded mistakes this year? Kelsey had 1 vote. Tim had 2 votes, but Evan with 3 votes, baby. The big ol' here, Evan. Let me give you one more little oops here.
Oops.
There we go. Classic. The big ol' Oops Award. The Third Wheel Award. I was so interested about this because I'm sure, I don't know what you voted, but this is about the best third host on the pod this season. Marshall got 1 vote. Thomas got 2 votes, but Kevin wins it with 3 votes. And that was my vote. Kevin had some Thomas was a close second, but Kevin had some good moments on the pod. Who'd you vote for in this one?
Who did I vote for? Well, I voted for. I'm trying to remember who I voted for. I think I voted for. The thing. Okay, so the thing about it was like I really enjoyed having everybody on the pod. One of the things that we talked about, like when we wanted to do this, was just like we wanted to get to know everybody better, and like we wanted it to be more competitive. And so I felt really lucky that we were. Like everybody was able to do it at least one week. Yeah. I think I voted for Thomas simply because of our rivalry and because there was so much anticipation going into that recording session, because he was just like texting me all day, like I'm about to rip you to shreds. I felt a little bit like when Russell Sherman went on first take.
There you go.
And was taking out Skip Bayless. That's kind of how I felt when he was on. Man. But no, it was great. I thought everybody was so awesome. I even, a couple of people I got to like meet kind of for the first time. So everybody was great. But who ended up winning the award was Kevin.
That was Kevin.
Yeah,
with
Kevin.
3, yeah.
Kevin, that's worthy when he did his whole funeral. Yeah, the fantasy funeral. That was hilarious.
Yes. I want to echo that too. It was so great to, obviously some of us know each other better than others, but, it was the great thing about this pod was being able to chat and talk and trash talk with those that, maybe I don't know as well. And it was just great to get to know everybody even more and just hang out. So that was super fun. Yeah. Everybody on the show, there's always like at least like 5 moments from every show that was like awesome this year. But yeah, the fantasy funeral really sealed the deal here. All right, the You're a Wizard, Harry award. This is the Oracle award. Who drafted somebody that ended up going off and they were high on? I should have posted the draft board here.
Yeah,
because we've got Travis Fulgham, we've got James Robinson, we've got Chase Claypool, but all of those guys were waiver wire pickups. So that they don't qualify. I said Justin Jefferson by Thomas because he was high on him and he drafted him, but then he dropped him.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how many games did he start, Justin Jefferson? How can you say he's a wizard? He's not an oracle.
So
he dropped him.
I think maybe though, if you remember, Derek said he was pretty high on Kyler Murray, got him in I think the 7th round.
That was great.
Ended up having a fantastic season despite the low end of the year. So I don't know if we really have a winner for this award, but
well, it's hard. It's hard because we all have these drafts where like you pick up great people in like the late rounds, but they don't start producing for a while, and none of us want to be very patient. So it's just kind of how it happens, is everyone ends up dropping, and then people blow up. The one thing I will say, and I voted for you on this one with James Robinson, you did pick him up before week 1.
That is true.
So to me, that was like you totally called it. You totally stuck with him all year. So that was my vote.
Yeah. I mean, it was, that's true. It was before week 1, so that kind of a draft pick there. The Tilt-A-Whirl award. Who tilted the most this season? And I thought this was this is a 3-way tie. I thought it was going to be you. I voted for you, Taylor.
I voted for me.
But you tied. You had 2 votes. Kelsey had 2 votes, and Evan had 2 votes. So all 3 of you tied. I thought it was going to be you, Taylor, because you tilted a lot early season. It was quite.
I did. I know. Well, again, like I said, I don't want to be patient.
I feel that, man. The Beef Jerky Award. Who was the biggest jerk this year? I was kind of surprised. We've got a lot of answers for this. Thomas had 1 vote. I had 1 vote. You had 2 votes.
Yeah.
And
Pooch, the thing is,
Pooch also had 2 votes. You tied with Pooch.
I'm the one with the microphone here, so like anything I say, like if I go after the Steelers, then I'm going to be labeled a jerk or whatever. Or I'm the one, and I'm also, everyone gets to hear my trash talk or whatever on every week.
That's true,
but that's fine.
You're at a little bit of a disadvantage, so
that's fine. Well, hey, that's my personality. I'm gonna tell you what I think. So, do you
like beef jerky?
Do I like beef jerky? Yes. Actually, I do not like beef jerky. That's one of those foods that, like, if I smell, it's not like milk. It's not on that level, but beef jerky is like one of those, if I smell it or a kid like has it like in the band hall. Well, first of all, they should never have food in the band hall. But if I smell like beef jerky on a bus or something like that, then I get like kind of sick. I think it's really, really gross.
So I just finished watching The Office for the 4th time before it's taken off Netflix. Do you skip over the scene where Kevin is talking about his chunky lemon milk?
Lemon milk?
Yeah, does that make you like throw up? Right, I'm just trying to get you to throw up on the pod.
No,
That would be a great way to end the season of the pod. That would be.
I'll just end the Zoom call before that happens.
Oh gosh! All right, so yes, you and Pooch tie with 2 votes for the Beef Jerky Award. The Talk Dirty to Me Award. Who had the best trash talk this year? And this was a tie in my mind too. It's a tie in the votes. 3 votes for Kevin and 3 votes for Thomas. Both just. I want to see them in a trash talk off.
That would be great. They need to have like a weekly segment on the podcast next year.
I think that would be, well, what needs to happen is they got to play each other they only played each other once this year, but because
now that we know it'll be highlighted.
Yeah, I'm hyping it up for next year already. All right, the Dark Horse Award. I was surprised on this one because we had a self-proclaimed dark horse in the league, which was Kelsey. He only got 2 votes though. Marshall ended up winning with 4 votes. But again, I mean, you can see why, because he slow start to the season, but then turns it around and squeezes in the playoffs and ends up getting 3rd place, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, depends on what your definition of dark horse is. I think both of those are worthy.
I think so too.
Kelsey's was a team that you thought, that's an easy W, and then you play him, and then it's all of a sudden within 8 points, and you're waiting on Monday Night Football. So
that's why I chose him, just because of that stressful time, and I play him twice a year because we're in the same division, so I got to play him more times. The Eckled His Way In There Award. Who snuck into the playoffs? This was a resounding Marshall 5 points, but someone voted, I don't know who it was, for Evan. And I don't know how, because Evan was a pretty clear shoe-in.
He clinched a playoff spot.
Yeah, he was a pretty clear shoe-in for the playoffs. This is a resounding Marshall for me. And he won the award because he snuck in there week 13 and so where do you go, Marshall's cleaning up here. Quite the list of awards here. The $180 award. Who spent the most on a waiver wire player and it didn't work out? Someone put Chase Claypool in here.
Chase Claypool?
He totally worked out. Also, someone said Thomas paid $40 for some scrub, although I can't remember who that was, but the resounding answer was you, Taylor, for Devontae Freeman. I can't remember how much. I think it was $84 or something.
It was too much. It was, you're right. It was too much. Well, I mean, my thinking and my reasoning, again, it was the patience thing. I was just I need running back depth, and Devonta Freeman and he wasn't good with the Falcons, and it was a very dumb move. I'll own it. It was bad.
Yeah, so you won that award. By the way, Deshaun Jackson scored a touchdown this weekend, and after that catch, they didn't target him again. So, the one catch wonder. Yes, so Devontae Freeman yourself, Taylor, taking him and winning that. The Ope of the Year award. This is interesting because we had several submissions. I'll read some of them. Kevin not playing a defense. I'm sure. Was that you? Did you submit that one?
Yeah, that was a pretty big ope.
That was a pretty big ope because it ended up costing quite a bit in the grand scheme of things. So, yes, that was big ope. Someone wrote anything Tim did. Oh, that's kind of rude.
Oh, that's so mean. Marshall, it's kind of true. So
Marshall drafting quarterback 10, Laram, number 1 overall.
Oh,
I don't know if... I mean, it's an oops. It's an ope, but it's not the biggest problem. But... the overwhelming majority was Evan, but we had 3 different, everybody was Evan for this or Evan for this, so Evan for picking up Stafford back to back only to have him get injured, Evan for taking a nap in confidence and then losing in the playoffs, and Evan for starting injured players. So congratulations, Evan, you are the winner of the Ope of the Year.
Ope of the Year.
Way to go, Evan. Crown that is very deserving of the Collusion King himself. Last couple things here. Thanks for the memories. What was your favorite memory on the pod? Marshall taking his clothes off. If you remember, he wore 3 different Steelers shirts. That
was
pod,
great.
I think. Someone said all of it is the highlight of my Thursdays all season. Oh, guys. Oh. Makes me feel so special. But the overwhelming majority was Kevin in his fantasy funeral, and I agree that was probably the best little segment there. Also, a couple honorable mentions or anything else we missed. I want to bring this up because I know who wrote it, and I just want to throw some little post-season shade back at him. The runner-up to Ope of the Year was Pujan drafting Tyreek Cohan One pick before DK Metcalf goes to Kelsey. Now here's the
Tyreek
problem.
Cohen.
His name is Tariq, Derek. Tarik. It's not Tyreek. Oh, boy.
And Cohen. It's a Cohen.
Yeah, I just had to throw a little bit of shade there. But yeah, those are your 2020 Bando Awards.
Presenting the 2020 Bando Awards.
All right, well, that brings us to a close here. Oh, man. Couple of things before we take off. Some off-season important dates. You're going to have a rule proposal, the annual rule proposal Google form coming out January 1st. It'll be open till the 31st. You can submit new rules you want to implement for the league, or submit current rules that you want to take away or you want to have come back to a vote. So that'll be up for a month. And then February through March 14th. March 14th is Selection Sunday for the NCAA March Madness this year. You get to vote on rules. And please fill out the form. If you don't, you automatically get the 10th pick in the draft next year, and that's not fun. We are using the March Madness, if it happens again, as, you know, the order for in which we pick our draft order. That's been kind of fun. March 15th is the new league year. Happy birthday. We're going to be 5 years old. This is the 5th season coming up, 2021, for the league. I can't believe it's been 5 years already.
Yes, it's only been 4 for me.
4 for a couple of guys.
It will be 4. Yeah.
Yeah.
For Thomas and I, who entered late.
And Marshall, too. Marshall was also, he's 4. But yeah, 5 years of the league. It's so cool. I got to say this, too. Like, I love, you know, this league because obviously fantasy football is fun. But I think what's even more fun is just, you know, staying connected with all you guys and being able to, you know, obviously we all live across the country now. And it's just nice to, you know, chat, have some fun every weekend, and do all that. August 22nd is when texts will go out to select your draft picks, and then Labor Day weekend is going to be the draft as per usual. We might have some off-season pods this year. You think? Maybe? Depends.
I could see it. I definitely will want to do some, like, I want to do kind of like a mock draft, something. I don't know how that would look because I don't want everyone to give away their picks, but yeah. That would be something really fun. I want to talk about, like, you know, March Madness. There's plenty of content for us to pick up
so
throughout
we
the
might,
offseason.
you know, we might do some new rules or some March Madness updates. I love talking about the NFL draft. Maybe we'll do a post NFL draft. We'll see. You know, schedule release, draft day announcement, things like that. But yeah. Oh wow. I think that's pretty much
finally
it.
over.
It's yes, it is. This is the last episode of the pod, guys. What a fantastic season it's been. Super fun. Enjoyed doing this, and I hope you guys really enjoyed it. Wishing you all a happy New Year's. Taylor, great to see you every week and talk fantasy, man.
It has been great. It's been so awesome this whole year, everybody. Yeah, I hope you guys have a wonderful new year. We'll see you later.
Yeah. Wishing you a happy New Year's. All right. Peace out, guys. We will see you next season.
Thank you for another great season of the Bands Make Her Dance Fantasy Football League.